Hello my friends, Asoka the Geek here, and for this review, we are taking a look back, a little bit of a retro review at the Mattel DC Universe Classics Return of Superman. So I picked this up from a toy show this past weekend. I did open up already to create some content, but I wanted to kind of just show you how he looks in the package before we go on to the full review. But yeah, this figure is at least, I don't know, 10 years old, I would say, at least. And this is from Mattel. This is from their DC Universe Classics line. Here's the back of the box for those of you not familiar with how this packaging used to look. Here are all the figures in this wave. Hawkman, Killer Moth, Superman, Shazam, and Mr. Miracle all come with a piece to build Calabac. And yeah, really fun wave here. Nice little mix of different characters. But there you go. So there is the box, the DC Universe logo on it, the classic DC Universe swoosh. There's Superman. And yeah, without further ado though, let's get this guy fully out of the package and take a closer look. Alright, so there's the figure out of the box. The only extras it comes with is the left arm of Calabac. Man, looks like a nice Calabac figure that will eventually come together. There's his weapon. Then there's this little floating DC Universe sticker thing that's a part of the packaging. And then there is the figure itself. So I guess, you know, if you're trying to kind of glean what Mattel is going to do with the DC license based on these older figures, I don't know. I can't say it's not fair to, because, you know, this is a Mattel figure, a DC Mattel figure, you know, 10-ish years ago, maybe more. But obviously the team has totally changed over at Mattel. Action figures have changed since they had the license. I mean, they just lost the license to McFarlane, what, 5-6 years ago? So it's not that long ago that they had the DC license. So yeah, will we see something similar to this? Will it be totally different? Who knows? Who knows what we will see? But just kind of judging this figure on its own. You know, this is a 6-inch scale figure, and, you know, I really like it. I think it's a good representation of the return of Superman. The suit looks good. They even got the little random steel toe there. Would have liked a raised S logo, but still looks pretty nice there. The gauntlets look good. The head sculpt, you know, not that detailed. Pretty basic, pretty simple, but I think it works for this style of figure. The mullet looks good. And then great articulation with this older figure. You can really move it around quite a bit. You have a thigh swivel on it. You know, it moves really nicely. You got a full-on ab crunch there. So yeah, good range of motion with the figure. Given that this figure is pretty old now, it still, you know, feels pretty good. Doesn't feel very wobbly, like it's about to snap apart. I've opened it a few days ago now, and it's, you know, I played with it a little bit, and it's held together quite nicely. So just kind of, you know, thinking about the time this figure was made, you know, the style of Mattel back then, I think it's a nice figure. Do I prefer the McFarlane ones of today? In some cases I do, in some cases I don't. You know, both lines have had hits and misses over the years, and, you know, my collection is a mix of Mattel, McFarlane, DC Directs, Mafex, Beast Kingdom. I like to mix up my collection, so yeah, they've both done some really good work. I think, you know, it'll be a couple of years before I can tell you if McFarlane was the definitive DC line. You know, it all depends on what I keep displayed, and who knows, right? But I will say I do like this Mattel figure quite a bit, and I think it works for a nice return of Superman. I know I'm kind of rambling all over the place with this, but what are you going to do? Let's see how he looks next to a few other figures. Alright, so this is not a apples to apples comparison, because we have a Mafex Superman over here at the left, a Mezco figure over here to the right. This is like a $100 figure. Then we have DC Direct right here, and the Mattel right there, sort of in the center. So yeah, these all have their pros and cons. It's funny, I don't think any of them have really become the definitive return of Superman, in my opinion. You know, for example, I love the Mafex suit. I love the Metallic S. I love that it came with the flight boots and regular feet as well. It came with, you know, fire to attach to the rocket boots, but it didn't come with any weapons. And also, I never cared for this head sculpt, really. I don't know, it's just odd looking head sculpt. When you put him to the side like this, it looks okay. but the head sculpt on this never really did it for me. So, you know, there's that. Then the DC Direct one, this one always bothered me just because his waist is so thin. I mean, I guess you could say that, you know, he just returned from the dead and he was a bit malnourished, but he didn't look like this in the comic book. So this area here really always bothered me. But the head sculpt I really like, actually. And I did a head swap with the DC Direct Superman back in the day. But this is sorry, I don't want to get confused. This is the head for this figure, and I think it is a really nice head, you know, really, you know, capturing that Return of Superman look. So that's what I like about that one. The Mattel one, it suits accurate. I wish the S was a little more raised. And then the head sculpt, I think, is actually pretty nice. I think they, you know, kind of captured the look pretty well there. So yeah, this one I wish it was a little bit more detailed, but again, thinking about the era this figure was released and all that, understand why it is the way it is. But still, I really like this latest addition to the collection. Now finally, the Mezco Superman is probably my favorite Return of Superman, just because you got the ammo belts, you got the thigh guns, or the holster for the guns, he has weapons. I like this take on the character. I like the way the head sculpt looks. I like the raised metallic S. Yeah, I really like this one quite a bit. So this is kind of my favorite version of the Return of Superman look. But, you know, who knows? Maybe McFarlane will give us one before the line ends. We've never gotten a proper Return of Superman from McFarlane. We have that black suit version that's based on the Lois and Superman comic book. He's in a black suit, but it's not the Return of Superman mullet Superman, which, you know, I would like to see McFarlane's take on this. But apparently I'm never going to stop buying this version of the character, because here we go. Here's 4 different versions of him. But there you go. There's my rambling thoughts on the old Mattel Return of Superman. Superman, again, nice figure. Picked it up at a toy show. Really got a great deal on it, and yeah, I think it's really nicely done. You know, I don't know, kind of got me excited for Mattel, because this is what they were doing a number of years ago. Can't wait to see kind of what they come up with now. You know, we'll see. You gotta be cautiously optimistic, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, there's your look at Superman. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Anything you else like to see, anything you would like to see. But yeah, there you go. There's your look at Superman. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate your time, and have a great day.